what top tip would you give to people who are on the call? Obviously, we've got a very a brilliantly diverse mix of people on the call coming from different angles, which is absolutely brilliant. But yeah, some top tips. Who wants to kick off? Paul, do you want to go?
I think the top tip is just do something, just start. What I've encouraged people in MSD to do is to first of all invite the patient organisations that they work with into the office. Most of the time that'll be the first time patients have ever been into a pharmaceutical company. Secondly, to say to the patient group, what's important to you, what keeps you awake at night, what's on your agenda for the next 2 years, and just listen. And just let them write it up on a flip chart about what they want to achieve over the next 2 or 3 years. And what you'll find, of course, is that 2 or 3 or 4 of the things that they put on their flip chart are exactly what you want to achieve as well. And then you find one project that you can work on together that meets both of your objectives. And if you do that, then what you find is that you build trust. And then the trust becomes a regular engagement, a regular working together, a regular let's achieve things together. So just start gently, but don't be frightened, because they won't bite your heads off most of the time.
Oh, brilliant, Paul. Just to sort of add in on that top tip, any top tips of how you actually get that, in a company who's not done it before, and you're saying, I think we need to start this conversation?
We've done it usually through public affairs if we don't have a patient engagement lead. But what I really try and get the company to do is to have a cross-functional team on the company side, because patients don't understand whether you work for the research division or the public affairs division, or whether you're international or UK or regional, and you're just MSD as far as they're concerned. So I try to encourage my country colleagues to have a meeting where you've got external affairs, you've got medical affairs, ideally compliance or legal in the room, because then whatever comes out of it is going to be acceptable. And as I say, listen, come up with one project, don't try and boil the ocean. It'll probably take a commitment of time, it'll probably take some money, because that's the realities of life. But once you worked on something together successfully, you've built that trust, and you then go on to a series of sort of ongoing relationships. Brilliant.
Okay, so just get started. Excellent. Who would like to go next? Trishna? You?
Yeah, so I think what Paul you've said is great. Yeah, just get started. I would say that it's not as difficult as people often think it is. And so bringing back to what Alex was saying around, get patients involved in the development of the strategies, the policies, the SOPs, that's all possible. I've been involved in the development of patient engagement strategies for pharma companies. I've been involved in the development of SOPs for pharma companies. And that's really where you're starting to embed this really patient-centered culture, and where you will start to get the shift in mindset. Because if it's embedded in the policies, then you will start to see the change, because actually it's making it easier for the people who say, I would like to do this with a patient. Where are the company policies and processes that are telling me how I can do this? So I think see if you can have a wider view of things. And also there's lots of help and support and resources and trainings out there. The faculty, one of the questions is, what can the faculty do next? The faculty is actually running a masterclass in patient engagement in March. I'm going to be co-delivering it with, so many of you who are part of the faculty will probably know Liz Clark, who I just want to give a shout out, because she was actually one of the driving forces behind putting this webinar together, but wasn't able to attend today. But yeah, so there are trainings out there, and the faculty is on board and helping to drive this forward. And so it's not as difficult as you think it might be. Get the support, get the help that you maybe require in order to progress it.
Brilliant, thank you. Jim, what's your top tip?
Well, it was going to be the same as Paul and Trishna, just do it. But in the sort of practical sense, and building from what Paul and Trishna said, if you're in an organization that's, or if you're part of an organization that's not done it, or you're in an organization that's not done it, look elsewhere, look outside, because as Trishna said, there's loads of advice and information out on the internet. It doesn't take a lot of searching to find. Go and talk to people in the non-commercial sectors. An awful lot of good advice, good guidance available, published by all sorts of public sector organizations. You know, a Google search, or if you're on Twitter, a question to Twitter, how can I involve patients in my work? You'll be overwhelmed by people who want to help you. Go and find somebody who's doing it and go and see what they do, see how it goes, observe something. Just the easier way into it, but there are lots of people out there who want to help. As Paul said earlier, you know, patients are not going to bite you, because they're just like all of us. We're all potential patients as well. So, and the kind of mantra behind it, and to all of this, is do as you would be done by. Think about, think about things from the other side of the fence. Don't do anything. If you're designing a study or designing a drug, don't try and do something that you wouldn't do to a friend, family member, or whatever. And then start to think about, who might I work with? Ask friends and colleagues. Search on the internet. You will find things. Go to big national organisations who can help. Somebody will always know somebody who can help if they can't help directly. So there's a ton of help out there, and loads of people who would love to help the industry.
Brilliant, thank you. Alex.
Thank you. So that great comments. And I think, Jim, your sort of treat people as you like to be treated point is so well made. And you think about the experience of dealing with a pharma company for a patient. I think that is such a good mindset for companies to have when they're thinking about the person who's receiving that information. Sometimes it might be that the company can't help, but really explaining the why and taking the time to do that really keeps the trust in the relationship. So my top tip was really based around the concept that compliance is a team sport. And often when a company makes a decision that they want to be patient-centric and that they really do want to put patients at the heart of everything they do, or front and center, then really to think as a team, what does that mean in practice, and then start living that. So it of course means early engagement. So making sure that when you have an idea that you want to do something, you get the team around the table, whether it's compliance, medical, patient advocacy, actually then to structure your activities, get your intent clear, and then everything else will sort of follow. So code compliance and will all sort of hopefully fall into place for people if they get the intent right and they have those discussions at the start to say, is this the right thing to be doing? Should we be doing this? Is it compliant? So yeah, my top tip is really early engagement. Remember, compliance is a team sport, and make it a priority, because if you don't genuinely prioritize it, it won't happen, and you won't build capability, and you won't find it any easier to do this in 6 months' time than you do now.
Brilliant, thank you.
Sorry, that was 3 there. Sorry, I was there.
It's great. More top tips for the audience.